Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om and good evening once again to all of you. Last week when we ended with a mention that it is the qualities of our own imprints at any given moment in time. It could be good imprints, it could be bad, it could be indifferent, whatever they may be. It is basically the qualities of our imprints at a given time and our experiences that we have gathered over time that determines the way we act or the way we work at a given time. Because our mind oscillates between three moods. Sometimes it is very bright, brilliant, feeling very good about itself. Sometimes it is down and dusted, it is absolutely down in the dumps. Sometimes it is indifferent, whether it doesn't matter what I am. It is in that kind of an indifference. So the mind oscillates between these kind of mood patterns almost on an ongoing basis. So many times what happens is we actually don't mean to say certain things, but we end up saying some things which can be sometimes hurtful. Sometimes we proclaim to be extraordinarily good, but actually we don't mean to be good. So these are things which come out on the basis of what our imprints are and how we sort of oscillate between each of these moods at any given time. And our present action, whatever is the work that we are doing, present action including whatever we speak, whatever we do, is actually something which is arising out of our prevalent mood of that moment. Even for example, I gave you that example that if I am singing something at this moment, I choose to sing a song which is happy if my mood is very happy. And if my mood is not so happy, the song that will probably I remember will be something which maybe very somber, very moody, etc. So mood is something which just keeps changing. The song that comes to my mind is आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना है, आज फिर मरने का इरादा है. So this is something which keeps changing in our moods, keep changing often. So understanding that, also understanding those 5 factors and the 3 impulses which make us work, which make us act in the way we do, we understood that our work is determined by our moods, the impulses that we get at any given time, from the experiences that we have gathered in the past, as well as the instruments which are enabling us to act, which is basically that our actions are either at the body level, the mind level, or the intellectual level. Whatever it is that we do, it is basically governed by these 5 factors and those 3 impulses. This is what we understood last time when we parted company. So I am now, and that we sort of stopped with verse 19 of chapter 18. I am going to play verse 20 to 35 and we will take this journey forward from there.
सर्वभूतेषु येनैकं भावमव्ययमीक्षते अविभक्तं विभक्तेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि सात्विकम् पृथक्त्वेन तु यज्ञानं नानाभावान् पृथग्विधान् वेत्ति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि राजसम् यत्तु कृत्स्नवदेकस्मिन् कार्ये सक्तमहैतुकम् अतत्त्वार्थवदल्पं च तत्तामसमुदाहृतम् नियतं सङ्गरहितम् अरागद्वेषतः कृतम् अफलप्रेप्सुना कर्म यत्तत् सात्विकमुच्यते यत्तु कामेप्सुना कर्म साहङ्कारेण वा पुनः क्रियते बहुलायासं तद्राजसमुदाहृतम् अनुबन्धं क्षयं हिंसामनपेक्ष्य च पौरुषम् मोहादारभ्यते कर्म यत्तत्तामसमुच्यते मुक्तसङ्गो न संवादी धृत्युत्साहसमन्वितः सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्योर्निर्विकारः कर्ता सात्विक उच्यते रागी कर्मफलप्रेप्सुर्लब्धो हिंसात्मको शुचिः हर्षशोकान्वितः कर्ता राजसः परिकीर्तितः अयुक्तः प्राकृतः स्तब्धः शठो नैष्कृतिको लसः विषादी दीर्घसूत्री च कर्ता तामस उच्यते बुद्धेर्भेदं धृतेश्चैव गुणतस्त्रिविधं शृणु प्रोच्यमानमशेषेण पृथक्त्वेन धनञ्जय प्रवृत्तिं च निवृत्तिं च कार्याकार्ये भयाभये बन्धं मोक्षं च या वेत्ति बुद्धिः सा पार्थ सात्विकी यया धर्ममधर्मं च कार्यं चाकार्यमेव च अयथावत् प्रजानाति बुद्धिः सा पार्थ राजसी अधर्मं धर्ममिति या मन्यते तमसावृता सर्वार्थान् विपरीतांश्च बुद्धिः सा पार्थ तामसी धृत्या यया धारयते मनः प्राणेन्द्रियक्रियाः योगेनाव्यभिचारिण्या धृतिः सा पार्थ सात्विकी यया तु धर्मकामार्थान् धृत्या धारयते अर्जुन प्रसङ्गेन फलाकाङ्क्षी धृतिः सा पार्थ राजसी यया स्वप्नं भयं शोकं विषादं मदमेव च न विमुञ्चति दुर्मेधा धृतिः सा पार्थ तामसी.
We almost habitually see differences in other people. We see others as different from us. Very normal. I think it is almost all of us, we do that. We see other people as different from us. But let's take for example this moment. This moment when I am talking and you are listening, those of you who are listening now and those who will listen later. At that point in time when the entire conversation is happening, we are all one with one idea, and that is the idea of understanding our own life through the lens of Bhagavad Gita. So the common unifying factor at this point in time between us is that understanding which we want in our lives and which we want to make use of in our progress. So we see differences in other people or in things around us only when our mind is in agitation or in disturbance, unknowingly to us. For example, supposing you are painting something. At the point of time when you are painting something, there is no difference between you and the subject that you are painting or of the people who are around who may be associated with that. Everything is a part of that entire unifying force. For example, if there is a class where I am, let's say, conducting a class for singing, all of us are together with that song which we are trying to learn and improve upon ourselves. So the unifying factor in that is the song or the painting. So the moment I start looking at you, who is an aspirant for singing, as different from me, then I am not actually doing that song. I am doing that song with you, A, B, C, D, E, F. That difference should vanish because the unifying force is that song. So in a tranquil mind, because that is when the mind gets tranquil, in a tranquil mind, we unconsciously see everything as a part of us alone. That is what happens. So the tranquility is very essential for us to see that unifying force in all of us, which is a part of us. So everything and every being we come across in that situation is nothing but the expression of that Lord principle which is there in all of us. Individuality, when we start seeing individuality, it appears that you and me are broken, as similar to the waves of an ocean, because we see the waves of the ocean as separate from the ocean itself. But when we have a tranquil mind, like for example, if I am sitting on the shore of that ocean, I'll just share a picture. Last time I did not, this time I will. If I am sitting on the shore of that ocean, sitting there, I am no different from the ocean. Every wave which is arising from the ocean is nothing but an expression of the ocean which is arising for me to be part of, me to enjoy, and then it will crash back, go back into the ocean, it will come back. I am one with the ocean, I am one with every wave which is expressing itself from the ocean. There is nothing different from me and the ocean. That unifying principle we are in a position to see when our mind is in a tranquil state of mind. So we realize that every wave is but an expression of the ocean. Every being, every person is but an expression of that unitary principle which is called the Lord, which is in all of us. Now, tranquil actually is the nature of the sattvic mind, because there is a wisdom which is residing in that sattvic mind. There is already a wisdom which is residing there. Now that wisdom enables us to see the oneness within us and the oneness in all other beings around us. Now agitation comes from our intellect. Agitation is caused by the intellect, because the wisdom which we have already gathered is now disturbed by the variety that we are seeing around us, and the variety that we are seeing around us makes us judge everything as different from what we are seeing as the unifying principle. So the tranquility that we sort of enjoyed is disturbed by the intellect's analytical mind. The intellect is what? A repository of the information or the knowledge that we have gathered from the world. Now it will analyze all that information, all that knowledge from this lens of plurality, that I am different and you are different. Now when the intellect rises to that wisdom level where I am able to understand this unifying principle, that is when the plurality which we are experiencing will collapse to recognize the oneness within each of us. I'll just share another slide in the same context for you to understand this a little differently. Many of you may have heard of the story of Shiva and Bhasmasura. I'll just share the picture first. Now Shiva is Bhasmasura is a great devotee of Shiva, and he sits in penance. Shiva is impressed by his penance and he comes in front of him. Bhasmasura, he is asking, what is it that you want? Bhasmasura says, the moment I touch anything or anybody, it must turn to ashes. Which means there will be nobody left. The moment I come in contact with anybody, that person will collapse and he will become ashes. So he says, okay, granted. Now having granted, in the jungle when he is there, he says, how will I know whether what you have granted me is workable or not? I want to test it on you. So he runs after Shiva, saying that I want to test that boon that you have given me. I want to test it on you. Shiva runs, because the moment he touches him, Shiva will collapse now. So that is not possible. Now that is when Mohini, that is Vishnu, comes in the form of Mohini, a very attractive, what can I say, a lady, and she dances in front of Bhasmasura and says that if you want to woo me, you will have to do the dance exactly the way I am doing. And Bhasmasura performs the same dance, and in doing so she touches her forehead, Bhasmasura touches his forehead, and finished. Bhasmasura is finished. This is a story we have learnt while we were children, and now this gives us another lesson, that the moment you see the plurality around you, you become the cause of creating your own destruction. So, and once you touch your own head, you become one with that divine thing, which is nothing but that dust from which we have all arisen. That is what we understand. So why do we see this distinction in religions? In our religions also we see distinction, is it? We see it from our intellect. Each distinction is created by our own identification. We don't see the unitary reality which is there in all religions. Our intellect revels in the distinctive identities rather than that unifying principle which is there everywhere. And that unifying principle is what is bringing all of us together. Now that is the understanding from a plural perspective of the Lord. Because we don't see the unitary reality from a plurality that we see, that you are Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Christian, he is Sikh, he is Zoroastrian. That plurality you are seeing because there is an intellect which says there are distinctions. Whereas the unitary principle which is binding all of us together is that one unitary principle which is called the Lord within us. So that separateness, how do we identify? The song that comes to my mind is Chaliya Mera Naam, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, Sabko Mera Salam, Chaliya Mera Naam. So you are identifying everything, everybody as something separate from you. For me, Krishna is the highest. Let us take for example. Let us take for you, Christ is the highest. For somebody else, like the Prophet Muhammad is the highest. Now, each one is identifying with only a single savior. I am saying Krishna is the savior of the world. So you saying Christ is the savior. Somebody says the Prophet is the savior. What about the times before these persons? As we know, Christ is about 2000 years old. Islam is still later than that. And even prior to that, you have our Krishna. Even before Krishna, there were other avatars, isn't it? We know that. So, does it mean that before that, there wasn't anybody? Does it mean that there was no supreme before that? So, it is the stupid fanaticism which is in us. The fanaticism brings me to another person who is probably the most fanatic that we have come across in this generation, if I were to say so. This fellow, Hitler, he said that anybody who's from the Aryan race is the most superior. Everybody deserves to die. Everybody else deserves to die. So it is his fanaticism which said that this is the only person, this is the only principle which is the greatest in the world. That fanaticism which fails to understand that the supreme principle without any identity was, is and will always be there. That is what we need to identify. That is what we need to understand. And the person who probably, one person whom I can think of, who probably taught that principle was Swami Vivekananda, who said that there is no difference between you and me. Whether you are American, whether you are Indian, whether you are a brother, whether you are a sister, whether you are a student, whether you are a teacher, there is no difference. At the end of the day, all the exercise that we do is towards making us better than what we were yesterday. That is the only thing that we all have to understand, and that there is one principle, that one life principle which is governing every being in the world. This is what I wanted to share from here. I'll take it forward. Now, all of us actually work with some sort of attachment. Like for example, now I have been doing this now 38th session. Is there no attachment that I have? The attachment that we have invariably is to the lust of our own desires, and always asserting ourselves that I am doing this work. I am doing this work because this is my task. This is my project. This is my result. So that identification of me and mine is what is governing our own work, our own actions at every given time. That attachment is what creates this entire disturbance in our mind. Now, our exertion is because of this attachment to this I and mine principle. Rarely, very rarely do we get our minds higher to the attitude that I am doing it because I am there and this has to be done. I have the capability. The result is determined by the sincerity of my efforts, and there is a divine grace which is operative, and that divine grace will take me to the path where I will be in a position to have made a difference to somebody. Is that the attitude that you want to develop? Sometimes, stupidly, without understanding the consequences of what it will create or the harm that it is likely to arise to others by our own actions, without knowing whether I am even capable to do these, or the loss that may arise because of my stupidity, deluded by my own misconception of the results, I can work like a perfect idiot. That is also capable. Because what happens? I start thinking that, oh, I can do anything. Mere se kya nahi hoga. Now, I don't realize in the bargain that the kind of consequences that attitude will create, that whether at all it is likely to cause harm to somebody else around us, I don't even want to realize whether I am actually capable of doing that work, or whatever it could, my misconception that this is what will happen, and something else, totally something else occurs. So I can work like a perfect idiot. That is also possible for me. Now, the way to work, if I understand these two perspectives, the way to work is to pick up enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is a very essential ingredient in picking up any work. Because if I am not enthusiastic about doing something, I cannot do it to the best of my ability at all. Number two, I must not have a selfish attachment to the results. Selfish attachment. What happens, selfish attachment? That I want it, it is mine, that should not be there. I pick up the enthusiasm to do whatever it is that I am doing as best as I can. Or the egoistic identification that, I am the doer. Well, of course I am the doer, there is no question about it. But my identification, ye dekh main kya kar raha hu, ye dekh main kya kar raha hu, that attitude should not be there. Yet, my personality, my entire personality is fully involved in bringing out the best of my efforts that can come into that work which I am doing, because that work needs to be done. And because I am the one who's there to do it and who has to do it. Only two criteria. This is the way I need to pick up. Pick up what? Pick up the gauntlet and deliver. Picking up the gauntlet is a very old English term. Olden times, these knights and all, when they used to fight, they used to challenge each other for a fight. So if I want to challenge somebody, I'll pick out there is that glove kind of a thing which I'll be wearing in my hand, made of steel, of course. I'll pick that, I'll remove that and I throw it on the ground. That is like a challenge to you, that if you want, you can fight me. For you to fight me, you have to pick up that glove. That is what is called picking up the gauntlet and fighting. So which means what? A challenging situation which is thrown at you by me, you are willing to accept that and rise up to the best of your potential and deliver that challenge. That is the attitude that must come to us when we are working in any challenging field, any field for that matter, because challenges is bound to come, because we are experts at creating challenges. Human beings are experts at creating challenges. So that is what we must rise up to. So we should not be perturbed by small failures on the way, not carried by small failures can happen, and we should not get carried away by small successes. Chota success aayega, don't get carried away. Acha ye ho gaya, next step. We should not be greedy to get only success. We become greedy that success only should come, failure should not come. We should not be impure in the thoughts or the words that we use in the kind of work that we are doing, or to our co-workers also. And we should not be unsteady in our mind while the work is going on. Not obstinate that it is my own ideas which is working. Even if they are meaningless, we start believing, we are very stubborn that my ideas which is working. We should not be malicious to others. Malicious meaning basically not wanting to be, dirty in the kind of thoughts or words or thinking about others. We should not procrastinate. Procrastinating meaning unnecessarily, acha ye abhi karna hai, एक काम करते ना, शाम को करते हैं, नहीं, let's do it tomorrow, नहीं, let's do it after 3 days, अभी नहीं है, urgency नहीं है. If there is something to be done, get up and do it. And we should always be confident about the method we have adopted, whatever is the method we have adopted, or the results that are likely to arise. These qualities, when we start developing in ourselves while working in any field of action, success is bound to be there, and that satisfaction is something totally different. So I am reminded of a beautiful song from a Dilip Kumar Vaijayantiwala movie, that Naya Daur, if I am not mistaken. मेहनत अपनी लेख ही रखना, मेहनत से क्या डरना, कल गैरों की खातिर की अब अपनी खातिर करना, अपना दुख भी एक है साथी, अपना सुख भी एक, अपनी मंजिल सच की मंजिल, अपना रास्ता नेक, साथी हाथ बढ़ाना, साथी हाथ बढ़ाना, एक अकेला थक जाएगा मिलकर बोझ उठाना. That's the attitude when we must develop when we are working on anything. Now, problems and challenges are constantly arising. I just now said that they are constantly arising in anything that we do. The moment one challenge is over, new one will come. It is bound to happen. Anything. At a particular time, one or two will engage our attention, because our entire focus is on that one or two which is engaging our attention. Suddenly, when one is nearing completion, a new one will emerge. This happens to all of us. I think nobody has escaped this. This is the very nature of our life. In our life, either probably determined by us or determined by forces around us, people around us, challenges keep on coming. And they come free of cost, without our effort. We don't put our effort. They just simply come, because it is the very nature of life. Our intellectual understanding of the challenge, whatever is that challenge, Our intellectual understanding of that challenge is the first and foremost important step to understand what is the challenge. To understand what the challenge is, it requires focus. It requires focus in our mind. It requires a dispassionate mind, that we cannot be prejudiced this way or that way about the challenge. What is the challenge? And we should not have an attachment to any particular thinking. What is it? First, dispassionately find out what is the challenge. So analyze all the inputs that are coming to you from what is confronting you and understand what is this challenge. Only when you know what is this challenge can you rise up to how you have to deal with that challenge. When I am unaware of the challenge in all its dimensions, because I did not apply my mind sufficiently, I am unaware of the challenge in all its dimension, my effort will be in the wrong direction. So I need to first understand what is the challenge and understand it in its correctness. I'll give you a wonderful example which I have encountered recently. I've been conducting some workshop for aspirants who want to sing, and there are people who have not sung often. Most of them have not sung beyond the bathroom. Some of them have sung outside also. Now, an important thing in singing is understanding the shruti, the scale in which you are singing. Particularly when you're singing film songs, they are in different pitches. Sometimes they are put in some F, some in F sharp, some in G, some in C sharp, some in D sharp. So many songs are there in different scales. So when they came to the class for the first time, the students, they were confused. What is the meaning of this? So I said a comfort level in which you are in a position to bring your voice range across different what can I say, notes is what your comfort range is. I explained it a little more in detail, but I'm giving it briefly here. So now when I make them sing, a few of them, they are unable to understand the scale in which the song is going. For example, let's say I'm singing a song. Rim jim gire savan, sulag sulag jaye man. The music is also playing on that scale. Now I'm asking them to sing. They are singing Rim jim gire savan, sulag sulag jaye man. So now I am explaining to them, telling them that you are singing below the shruti. You have to sing Rim jim gire savan. That is what you have to sing. Now they don't catch it. They are singing below the shruti. Then I change the scale in which I am singing. I started singing like Rim jim gire savan, and then they came up to the scale which I wanted them to come, because their mind is, what can I say, conditioned to sing below what they are listening. Now when they caught on to that by this demonstration, they realized that, oh, this is the mistake I am making. So once you know that the challenge is of a different direction or of a different dimension, the path in which you will move to meet that challenge will become different. So when I become aware of the challenge, suddenly my effort finds its path, where it has to go. So intelligent action everybody does. Intelligent action is what is called working. Otherwise it is only action which even animals can do. Animals know, dogs can bark, cats can meow, lions can come and attack, can come and attack somebody who's a predator. So they also act. Intelligent action is what is called working. So our intellect plays the major role in converting any action into smart work. That is what it is. So it is our intelligence which gears us towards making smart work. So the first thing to know while we are acting is whether that action is required from me or not. So when I am sitting for an action, for example, this talk which I am now doing, the first thing for me to do is to understand whether this is required or not. Now required for me, required for you. How can I say that I am the person who is supposed to do it for you? No. As I said right in the beginning, and I keep on asserting to myself whenever I do the first prayer, that this is a channel of knowledge flow. What I have understood, I am channelizing it. What you have understood thus far and what you are going to get from this, you will imbibe it in yourself for your own growth. So I am not responsible in any way. The first thing that I have understood is that while acting, whether this action is required from me or not. Now whether it is necessary at that point of time or not, is this the time? Probably cannot be any better than this, because I was thinking that when we started out this journey, before the Gita Jayanti, which is there in December 22, we should be able to wind this up. We will of course wind this up far before that. So it is a point of time which I conceived in my mind that before Gita Jayanti of 2022, I would like to do this service to the Lord. So when I look at it that way, yes, it is required at that point in time. This is the first discrimination you must have while picking up anything to do as your action or a work. Now, we should not get succumbed to the pressure of the situation or the people around us. Now, if I started this work in competition with somebody else who's doing it, so I'm also doing it. That's the most stupidest thing that I can probably do it. I felt that this is something which I can carry, and this carrier has to now transmit it the way it is known. That is the entire process of this channelizing itself. That should be the case. There should be no pressure that, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this competition. Nothing of that sort should be there. That is the attitude when you... Now, there is no fear for doing any morally correct actions. Something which is morally correct, the appropriate thing to do, the right thing to do, there is no fear for doing that action, even if it is unpleasant. It could be unpleasant. For example, one of you can walk, get up and say, what is this nonsense? What does he think of himself? He is some messiah or what? Unpleasant response. Why should it matter? Whether it is liked by others or not, why should it matter? Fear has no role when we are on the right path. So when we are getting out to do any work, any action which is on the right path, there is no need to fear. Contrarily, the other side is also true. If there is some action which is immoral or which is harmful to others, something which you should, it's not good for you to do. Let's say that you are doing something which is contrary to your identity as a family person. It is immoral. It's not something as a family person you will do. Or it is something which you will do which is going to cause agony to other people. That is not something which you will do. And we get fearful of doing that. Such an action comes to our mind and we get fearful that, whether we have to do it or not. We should recognize at that moment itself that it is a signal from our own conscience that such an action is not proper for me. So this attitude is something which we need to develop, that an action or a work that we want to undertake, when it is coming to our mind, we have to find out whether it is the right thing to do. If it is the right thing to do, we should go fearlessly and go ahead and do that, even at the cost of any unpleasantness that may arise. Somebody may like it or not like it. Whereas on the contrary, if it is something which is improper, which is not going to cause some harm to others, it's immoral, not expected of us, somebody of that, our stature, our position, not expected of us, that signal, if the moment it comes from our mind, we should just simply give up that action. Actions that are working towards the common goals of welfare for us and for others, we must pursue those as our own work. Something which we are doing, it is for good for us and also for common goal, common benefit of other people also. We must willy-nilly take up that action and do it as sincerely as we can. Now, if any action arises from an agitated state of mind, it can result in a wrong judgment. So, that is another thing which we need to guard against, that are we, when we starting that work, are we starting it with an agitated state of mind, or are we in a position to compose ourselves, bring us to a sense of balance, equilibrium, and decide what is the path for me in doing that work. That's important, because the moment you start taking it up with an agitated state of mind, agitated can be because we are extremely sad, we are extremely angry, we are extremely prejudiced against somebody. All these things, from there if you start any action, it can result in a wrong judgment. And that wrong judgment can be like, saying, invariably we end up saying that the goal justifies the means that we adopt. It's not right, isn't it? Because this is the goal that we want. Whatever is the means I want, I can adopt. Now, even if the means cause harm to others, even if the means cause, let's say, disturbance to people who are dear to me, the means don't justify. The goal is important, but we have also to ensure that the means are properly employed to achieve that goal. Many times our understanding is topsy-turvy. This is a problem with us. Our understanding is, idhar bhi chalta hai, udhar bhi chalta hai. So, In such at such moments, what we do is we do that which we must not do, and we avoid that which we must do. This is what happens, because ulta सीधा चलता है, दिमाग का कोई भरोसा नहीं है. Now that devil in us, which makes us work in this manner, is that personality driven doership principle. If you remember that chart which I had, body, mind and intellect, and the world is consisting of objects, emotions and thoughts. With the body, we perceive the world of objects. With the mind, we feel the world of emotions. With the intellect, we think the world of thoughts. If you go through that perceiver, feeler, thinker in us, that personality driven doership principle which is in us, that is the one, is the devil in us, which starts making us do this kind of ulta sida kam. Sometimes we do things which we shouldn't do, and we don't do things which we must do, and we are intoxicated by our own misunderstanding and egoistic ideas. So the imprints that we have gathered thus far, whatever experiences that we have gathered thus far, from that we get intoxicated. एक नशे में नशा छा जाता है ना. In that nasha of our own misunderstanding, our own let's say misgivings, wrong ideas, egoistic ideas, we end up doing blunders. So the song that comes to my mind is, and we start, and after we commit those acts, we say, what a blunder I did. मुझे माफ कर दो यार, मैं सोचा नहीं था, एकदम पता नहीं मेरा दिमाग किधर था. This happens to us, and very often it happens to us. The song that comes to my mind is, मुझको यारो माफ करना, मैं नशे में हूँ, अब तो मुमकिन है बहकना, मैं नशे में हूँ. This is what happening. So the moment we are in that wrong understanding, we end up doing things in that intoxication, and we start swaying to the wrong ideas, to the wrong thinking, to the wrong actions, and we bring our own downfall, if I were to say so. So now I will go on to play verse 36 to 46 of this chapter, and we will take it forward from there.
सुखं त्विदानीं त्रिविधं शृणु मे भरतर्षभ अभ्यासाद्रमते यत्र दुःखान्तं च निगच्छति यत्तदग्रे विषमिव परिणामे मृतोपमम् तत्सुखं सात्विकं प्रोक्तमात्मबुद्धिप्रसादजम् विषयेन्द्रियसंयोगाद्यत्तदग्रे मृतोपमम् परिणामे विषमिव तत्सुखं राजसंस्मृतम् यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखं मोहनमात्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्थं तत्तामसमुदाहृतम् न तदस्ति पृथिव्यां वा दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः सत्त्वं प्रकृतिजैर्मुक्तं यदेभिः स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः ब्राह्मणक्षत्रियविषां शूद्राणां च परन्तप कर्माणि प्रविभक्तानि स्वभावप्रभवैर्गुणैः शमोदमस्तपः शौचं शान्तिरार्जवमेव च ज्ञानं विज्ञानमास्तिक्यं ब्रह्मकर्म स्वभावजम् शौर्यं तेजो धृतिर्दाक्ष्यं युद्धे चाप्यपलायनम् दानमीश्वरभावश्च क्षात्रं कर्म स्वभावजम् कृषिगौरक्ष्य वाणिज्यं वैश्यकर्म स्वभावजम् परिचर्यात्मकं कर्म शूद्रस्यापि स्वभावजम् स्वे स्वे कर्मण्यभिरतः संसिद्धिं लभते नरः स्वकर्मनिरतः सिद्धिं यथा विन्दति तच्छृणु यतः प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानां येन सर्वमिदं ततम् स्वकर्मणा तमभ्यर्च्य सिद्धिं विन्दति मानवः.
Why do we do the things that we do? Why do we work? Why do we at all do any action? Whether it is good, bad, indifferent, why do we do it? If you actually analyze, sometimes we feel like doing something which is very bad, like talking ill about somebody, wanting to go and hit somebody, wanting to steal something from somebody. Of course, we also want to do a lot of good things also. Why do we do all of them? Everything that we do, every action that we do is for achieving a better state of mind than what we have now. Even if you steal, why did you steal? I wanted that thing. It belonged to whom? Somebody else. Why did you want it? No, I was very jealous that he was having it and I wanted it. So because you were jealous, he had something you didn't have and you stole it. So even that action is because you want to be at a better state of mind. Why did you hit your friend or a relative or a child or whatever it is? Why did you hit? Because he was making a mistake. He was doing something which he should not do. By hitting him, what did you achieve? I got the satisfaction that what I say is right is what should be done. So you want a better state of mind to yourself than what you are in now. So for more satisfaction, for more success, for more, even sometimes you say that I want to go and help somebody, go and do some public service. Why do you want to do that? Because by helping somebody, I will achieve more satisfaction. So you go and help somebody. So everything that we are doing is for more happiness. Something better than what I am now at this moment, I am trying to achieve. For that, I will lean towards that action, that work, that thought, that speech, whatever is required. I will do that for what? For some more satisfaction, for some more happiness. Ultimately, so when we realize in one word, why do we do what we do? To be happy. Happier than what I am now. So if I were to put that in the form of a figurative example, why does a flower lean towards the sun? Why does a flower lean towards the sun? The sunlight has already come. The flower is already blooming. Yet the flower's tendency is to bloom to go towards the sun because it wants more of that nutrition which it is getting from the sun. And as it gets more, it will bloom better. So the nature of the flower is to work to get more of that sunlight to be more happy. It can't find happiness the way you and I do, but that is what is the function of the flower. So then, why does a drunkard go, lean towards booze? He wants to be more happy. This is the one thing which I want. Arey, mera glass aa gaya, mere ko mera mil gaya hai, ekdam khush hai. This is the attitude. So, whether it is the flower leaning towards the sun or the drunkard leaning towards his glass, it is nothing other than he wants, or the flower wants, more happiness than the present state in which he or that flower is. That is what is our entire engineering of the mind itself is like that. Now we have to evolve from where we are. We have to evolve with our efforts to identify what is that happiness which we can revel in always. Always meaning what? Whether sunlight is there or not, whether beer is there or not, will I be happy? So is my happiness now geared by the sunlight availability or the beer availability? So that happiness which will remain with me, because ultimately why am I doing all this? To be happy. That happiness which will remain with me, independent of the sun, independent of the beer. What is that happiness which I can revel in always? That can come only when I practice myself in that right direction. So what is the right direction in that case? Sometimes the results of whatever work we are doing may seem poisonous. Poisonous meaning something which we don't want, something which we find, arey mujhe nahi chahiye tha aisa. We don't want it. In the short run, the results may be like that. I don't want kind of results will come. But as we go ahead, we realize that the result was necessary for our own evolution. And that result finally that comes in the long run is like nectar. That one drop of nectar, it is like that. Whatever may be, even that one gallon full of beer may come, that one drop of nectar is what I wanted. That is the happiness that we must strive for. Like for example, one more example before I go to that example. I'm a student, I'm a chartered accountant. I was a student of CA. So as you study for CA, there are lot of effort that you need to put. Work 3 months, 4 months for every exam. A lot of effort you need to put. You have to work 10, 12, 15, 16 hours in a day. You have to work. So in the short run, sometimes you don't understand. You don't understand what you studied. You solve a test paper, the answer doesn't come the way you want. So you are disheartened. But you keep on working. You keep on working. You keep on working. And closer to the exam, maybe about 15, 20 days before the exam, answers and all will come. Then again 2 days before the exam, when you sit with the same question, my God, your mind is in such a big muddle that you are so anxious, etc., etc. So studying for that CA can be very strenuous and seem like poisonous in the short run. But when you complete it and got that result, pass, great result. So that is the attitude that you will get. Similarly, when you start up, new business, you start a new business. Initially, there will be a lot of struggle. You will not get a customer. You will get one customer. That person will not engage with you sufficiently enough. You will wonder, when is this going to take off? It's a lot of struggle. Then gradually, as it grows, oh my God, that struggle was like poison. But my God, that struggle was necessary for me to grow. Similarly, like, you join a music class. You have not sung. You're not good at singing. You just mumbling something here or there. You join a music class. Initially it will be struggling, it will be very troublesome for you to learn. Then gradually, as you move ahead, you will realize, oh my God, there is such a joy in learning this music. That's what you understand. So the figuratively, if I were to say so, I'll just share an image again once again. Meditation is something which I spoke about. Now when you sit on meditation, what happens? Initial stages of your meditation, nothing will come. You are sitting, your mind is restless, it's going here, there. You are sitting in meditation with your eyes closed, but your mind is going somewhere else. You are seeing something, thinking of something. You can't meditate. That is what happens. But despite that, you keep on doing it. It may initially seem like poison. Arey, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Keep on doing it. Gradually, the mind starts, and by that practice, mind starts developing calmness. And when it starts developing calmness, you realize, my God, this is such a great tool for my own inner transformation. This is how you realize. So that is the way you move ahead. Now, some results, it is also possible that some results will seem like nectar in the beginning. Arey, majja. Majja kya? एक ड्रिंक, अरे एक और ड्रिंक हो जाए, क्या मजा मजा. In the beginning it is very nice. Gradually, as we realize, it becomes slow poison. You become a perfect drunkard. Every time 6 o'clock, अरे whiskey खोलने गए. That's what happens. It starts killing you. Like for example, sugar addiction. Initially, sugar is so nice, so sweet. अरे इसमें कॉफी में 3 शक्कर शुगर, 3 स्पून शुगर डालो, इसमें लस्सी में 4 डालो, मेरे को जलेबी चाहिए, gulab jamun chahiye. You start eating. Gradually you become diabetic. Then what happens? It is slow poison. So abhi no more sugar. Like for example, some people are very fond of spices. Mexican food leke aao, Punjabi tadka dal ke leke aao, ye lao, wo lao, all these kind of things you start eating. Gradually you start getting ulcers in your stomach. So these starts becoming slow poison. So what you do, like that meditation example that we did, what you do when it starts uplifting you to a state where you are tranquil, what a maja, it is spiritually uplifting, not spiritually uplifting, spiritually uplifting. That is what happens. So nobody can escape from these qualitative traits that all of us have. Every one of us in some way or the other is governed by our own qualities. What we have developed is from our own imprints. And that is what we display to others. Every living creature, including us, will only work governed by the imprints that they have got. So you will work the way your imprints are. I will work the way my imprints are. Maybe they are the greatest leader or the last peasant in the fields. They will work only on the basis of what their imprints are. And these imprints are also born out of nature. It is not something which is coming elsewhere. It is out of nature. Our nature, our experiences, what we have imbibed, what we have taken, and what we have left. So our attempt actually must be to maintain ourselves as much as we can in the purity of the thought process that we can develop. We have to know for ourselves what is our kind of coffee. For example, I am fond of coffee with milk. This is my kind of coffee. Coffee where milk is there, a little bit of sugar or jaggery or something like this. This is my cup of coffee. What is your cup of coffee? You are probably drinking black coffee. No sugar, no milk, nothing, just black coffee. This is your kind of coffee. What is your friend's kind of coffee? I like iced coffee. Coffee with a little bit of cream and a lot of ice and a straw. So what is the kind of nature of my own mind? What is the quality of my own imprints? It is important for me to know that. It is important for me to know. It is born out of my nature. It is important for me to know, because only then I will be able to work in a manner which is befitting my, my nature, my qualities, whatever it is. Only then I will be able to work. One of the oldest classifications in our country, which we have heard of, is the fourfold Varna system. We all know that. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. We have those four classifications, isn't it? Now, is it something which is cast in stone while we were born? Like I am born as a son of a Brahmin, so my father was a Brahmin, so I am a Brahmin. Your father was a king, so you are a Kshatriya. So your friend's father was a businessman, so he is a Vaishya. Or somebody else is a class 4 employee in government, so his son is a Shudra. Is it something which is written when we are born? Nonsense. Even today we hear this classification from, even today. I mean, even when we say this entire business of classification, etc., we hear in society. Even today we hear it as if it is the ultimate yardstick for accepting or rejecting people within any community. Now, for example, I have found that there are Rotary Club for lawyers, there is Rotary Club for doctors, there is Rotary Club for kalakars. So only those kind of people will be accepted into that club. So you create those yardsticks saying that this is what they will come in. Now, this is not some sort of some blind man's buff. कि अनड़ी अरे इसको इधर लो उसको उधर छोड़ दो इसको उधर छोड़ दो उसको ले लो. I mean, that's not the way, it's not आंख में चोली थोड़ी ना खेल रहे हैं कि तो कौन क्या है करके. That's not the way. So we will understand that. A song that comes to my mind is आ मेरे हम जोलिया खेले आंख में चोलिया गलियों में चौबारों में गाँव में बहारों में ओ मैं ढूंढूं तू छुप जा मैं आऊं. So which means what? If I want to join a club, let's say of Kshatriyas, you're not a Kshatriya, get out. If I want to join a club of Brahmanas, no, you are class 4, go. That's not the way, no. You understand what is my quality. So, from the memories of past experience, and the strengths that I have developed, this I am talking about myself. From the memories of past experiences that I had, from the strengths that I developed, I turned towards singing. I started singing. Similarly, with my past experiences and the strengths that I developed, I started this entire exercise of sharing my knowledge about Gita or empowering people's wisdom with our own ancient knowledge systems to aid their journey into their happiness from my experiences. Now, this choice leads me to know that I am a teacher. I am a Brahmana. But that alone is not sufficient. Only this much is not sufficient. There are some qualities I need to develop also. Only then I can qualify like that. I must learn the art of remaining serene in all situations. I must develop the skill of self-restraint, not to fall sway to unforeseen temptations. I must fortify my own belief system that what is available and whatever comes my way is sufficient for my happiness, rather than run after petty desires now and then. इसके पीछे भागो, उसके पीछे भागो. I must develop the attitude of forgiveness to others, stand upright in diversity, and most importantly, have faith and belief in that supreme principle. Only then I am qualified to be a Brahmana. So if I am able to meet all these requisites, I am qualified to say that I am a Brahmana. So does it mean that once I am qualified like this, I cannot be in any other category. That is also not possible. Because if I display prowess in my chosen field of work, whatever is the field of work that I'm doing, if I show prowess, I am firm in my actions. And in the way I guide others also, I am in a position to guide them properly. I am courageous not to flee from any challenging situation. I am generous to share with others what I have. And I am an effective leader for those who seek my support. If I am able to display these qualities, I am a Kshatriya too. So I can be too. Isn't it? Now, in my personal experience, I am sharing this. I tried business about 2-3 decades ago. I tried to do business. And I failed miserably. I expected that because of 1.5 years of decades of experience in advising others in business, I'll also be greatly successful. It turned out to be the worst decision in my life. So I realized that I am not qualified to be a Vaishya, a person who will engage in trade. Then later what happened? I spearheaded a movement to establish a university for Chinmaya Mission, which I have shared with you. Now I worked together with a team of members from the mission in ashrams as devotees of Gurudev in the spirit of dedication and service. Now we qualified ourselves to be called Shudras, because what is the work of Shudras? To be devoted in service to others. So when I am devoted to a noble cause, doing service to others, I am also Shudra. So where is this classification coming from? The classification is on the basis of my work I do at any given point in time and nothing other than that. So no matter whatever work we do, we must do that in the spirit of devotion to this highest principle. But we must focus on our strengths and be diligent in that rather than divert our attention इधर उधर ये भी करेगा वो भी करेगा, wasting our vitality and then become sad. The song that comes to my mind is इधर चला मैं उधर चला जाने कहाँ मैं किधर चला अरे फिसल गया ये तूने क्या किया. That should not be our result. So I close my session for today with this. I want to share something with you. The way I'm going, I reckon that by next week I should be able to wind up with chapter 18 also. So the week after that, next week, I think it will be 6th of August. So on 13th of August, that session which we will have your feedback, not questions necessarily. Can have questions which I will take, but I want your feedback. I want you to come live on video. I want you to switch on your videos. So be prepared 13th August that I want you to switch on your videos and come up with whatever your experience has been in this journey. I think that time we will be doing the 40th session. So in these 40 sessions, what you have gained, what you have benefited from, or are there any reflections that you have, any impressions that you gathered, anything that you want to share, please feel free. Maybe for a minute or two you can speak. I want all of you to participate. Please don't, without exception, I want all of you to participate. Switch on your TV videos and come back with your suggestions, points, thoughts, reflections, anything at all that you want to share, because after that we will be winding up this I Own My Life webinar. Will be done and dusted on 13th of August. So with this, I will close the session for today. As I said, welcome your comments on WhatsApp at any time. More than happy to share my response to you. Thank you very much. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you very much and bye bye.